In 1816, the American Colonization Society was founded to help deal with the growing number of free blacks in America. They chose to resettle many of the freed African Americans in Africa, resulting in the state of Liberia. The search of land to resettle the freed African Americans proved more difficult than the United States expected. None of the tribes wanted to sell their land. After a few failed voyages, one captain was finally able to get a strip of land from a tribal chief near Sierra Leone. Being surrounded by other tribes, the colony of Liberia was attacked on numerous occasions. The United States helped build some protection, but for the most part stayed out of Liberia. Due to the lack of support from the United States, Liberia chose to declare their independence from the United States in 1847. Great Britain was the first country to recognize Liberia as an independent state. Problems faced in Liberia's healthcare include a lack of organizational hierarchy, funding, and healthcare accessibility. Liberia is the fourth poorest country in Africa. As such, Liberia's healthcare system is in need of reform. Understanding the problem. Liberia has faced 2 civil wars in the last 2 decades, as well as various conflicts with surrounding tribes. Liberia has a unique history and creation. After declaring its independence from the United States, Liberia lost a lot, but not all of its Western influence. The official language of Liberia is still English. However, Liberia possesses 20 different languages. After being established in Africa, surrounded by other tribes with different beliefs and practices, Liberians have been forced to constantly fight for their land. The varying groups within Liberia itself haven't helped with the civil unrest. The cultural differences within Liberia and the unstable government resulted in 2 brutal civil wars, the second involving surrounding countries and child soldiers. The now democratic Liberia has the first female president elected in Africa and is continuing to work towards democratic progress. Liberia is still suffering over the last 5 years of the Ebola outbreak, as well as continuously combating the AIDS and HIV epidemic. Liberia's healthcare system structure is still recovering from the past 2 civil wars and Ebola outbreak. Liberia has crouched on the international community for so long, but is now in the position to work towards independence, but needs assistance to do so. Liberia has a total of 5,000 healthcare providers and a total of 51 doctors. Liberia's current population of 3.1 million means that there is 1 doctor per every 76,000 residents. There has been recent pushback from Liberia's healthcare providers due to funding. Liberia is lacking hospitals, equipment, and wages for its healthcare providers. As a basic human right, healthcare should be the main priority. The majority of Liberia's healthcare facilities lie within the capital, Monrovia. Monrovia's population is approximately 400,000, which is only 13% of Liberia's total population. Expansion of healthcare facilities would allow for easier accessibility for the people of Liberia. As of 2008, according to AHO and the United States Census Bureau, these are the populations of Liberia, Botswana, and the United States. This is to show 2 countries with similar populations with more successful healthcare programs in their budgets. Looking at the 2008 healthcare spending for each country, Liberia spends a sliver of the amount that Botswana and New Mexico spend. Botswana having one of the best healthcare systems in Africa, and New Mexico being a part of the United States has one of the best healthcare systems in the world. As a global assistance organization interested in promoting newly democratic countries, USAID should increase funding towards Liberia's healthcare. The USAID can assist Liberia by helping establish a healthcare system organizational hierarchy reflecting in the United States in an attempt to stabilize healthcare. While funding the healthcare system will allow for an increase in equipment, staff, and resources. Finally, expanding healthcare across Liberia will allow for larger accessibility for citizens outside of the capital city. A study conducted by Hans Rosling showed the development process by different countries depended mainly on economic growth, governance, education, health, the environment, and human rights. Rosling recognizes that the most important mean of development is economic growth. while Rosling also determines that the primary goal of each nation should be human rights. Even though Rosling recognizes the importance of development, he also believes the most important goal for a nation is to maintain human rights. As USAID's main goal to assist in growing democratic nations, it would be in USAID's best interest to fund Liberia's healthcare system. Liberia lies at the bottom of Rosling's life expectancy chart. With an increase in healthcare funding, USAID could help increase Liberia's life expectancy to catch up with other democratic nations. The USAID's website states, under the Who We Are, USAID is the lead U.S. government agency that works to end extreme global poverty and enable resilient democratic societies to realize their potential. And if USAID stands by their objective, then they would help fund Liberia's healthcare system. That would help this democratic society thrive within one of the poorest countries in the world. Thank you.